13 of the Rhetorical Act textbook, it describes how powerful media has become, reflecting culture, carrying moral authority, and acquiring special influence through transmission, such as different mediums of transmission. When analyzing media as a rhetorical construct, there are 7 fundamentals to consider. Media messages are constructed, they own their own language and rules, they are essentially experienced differently by different people, they're driven by profit, media has embedded values, they are pervasive and carry high authority over people, and essentially medium is message. Media has a high ethos appeal to people, with acquired intellectual and moral authority. It essentially means that media has this higher authority more than parents or priests because it kind of casts this veil of secrecy that many people find essentially liberating. They can be anyone who they want to be, and there wouldn't be any consequences because the internet is just so vast and there's not a lot of regulating rules to really limit this. There are various mediums of transmissions that all come with their own strengths and weaknesses, and these include newspapers, radio, TV, or the internet. And when media is used to campaign or advocate social movements, these speakers or the people joining need to capture these larger audiences and appeal to like a bigger crowd because they're going to several places. They need to be repeating the same message. However, media only reporters only look for the more interesting things politicians and these speakers have to say, and if they're constantly saying the same message over and over again, they're not going to constantly repeat or report on the same message. They're going to be looking for something that's a little more odd or something different. So these politicians and campaigners essentially need to stick with their same message, but also somehow kind of make it interesting to get that media coverage. In the RPC essays of Knox, Brenner, Rose, Klosterman, Burak, and more, all these essays display these concepts. Knox describes how the medium of books have essentially changed over the years, requiring them to be more humorous to really appeal to youth culture. Media portrays romance as a more idealistic fantasy, and children are drawn to this more entertaining fantasy rather than the educational and boring textbooks. Children's shows are popping up more on television because kids are being stimulated by these visual learning ways. One of those limiting factors of TV is that it's not completely child-proof, so anything really can be found on TV and in these shows. Brenner addresses the rise and acceptance of fan culture online through the influence of both TV and social media. Media has an increasing authority, and it's essentially just bringing communities together and allowing people to share their stories freely online. And although the internet empowers these users, it also creates this over-dependency that they really cannot control everything on the internet, and people just rely on it now to really just hide their identity and allow them to be who they want. And a lot of people take advantage of this secrecy, such as predators and pedophiles and all those people. Rose expresses his concerns with how immersive the video game industry has become and how it's getting essentially more difficult to distinguish reality from the alternate reality. With TV and internet becoming more immersive, it's transporting people to this like imagined reality, and it's providing them this visual storytelling that they could really connect to. But it's often not regulated properly, and it encourages this violent behavior, and it also causes more over-dependency. Klosterman points out why the zombie industry has become so popular, with zombies essentially symbolizing our fears and anxieties and always chasing us. And he says that the internet is like a zombie, constantly attacking us, and it's trying to pick at your brain. The media continues to promote this zombie, knowing that all audience can relate to this similar message and that it sticks with the same message universally. Everyone knows how to kill a zombie, how they work, and with this large audience, this message is the same throughout. Bjork suggests that the fear of missing out, or FOMO, is now a cultural disorder formed by technological advancements and social networks. Easily sharing and looking at everyone's lives make people feel like settling with just the good enough and giving up what exactly they are missing out. I could be looking at a picture of my friend on the beach and I feel like I'm going to be missing out on going to that opportunity to go to the beach. Instead, I am settling for just what's good enough in my situation right now, like sitting in a chair. The internet is not quote, a gatekeeper, and it doesn't have any filters, so it really just allows anyone to be who they want or say what they want to do, and that's also another limiting factor that the textbook states. Moore claims that the video games have connected people online, but it also has disconnected them offline, making gaming lonely and eliminating that social aspect that makes gaming fun. The internet connects users, and video games appeal with their visual storytelling. However, they're sometimes too violent, and then people are too reliant on them. The anonymous aspect makes it more liberating also on video games because no one knows who exactly is behind that screen or controller, making it more risky. Overall, understanding rhetoric as a rhetorical construct and its various mediums shows how powerful rhetoric is in the media today.